Hello, everybody, and welcome to the QE Squid podcast with guests. It is I, the legendary player Squid. I'm just kidding. I'm not really sure if I'm a legendary player. I've been called a lot of things, but legendary player is definitely not one of those. Well, today we are joined with SaltyOctopus, who is a game reviewer on YouTube as well. He does various different YouTube game reviews of all different kinds. How are you doing today, Salty?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Doing really well.
Definitely. So what kind of games do you do on your channel?
I started as a Hunt Showdown streamer. I don't know if you've ever heard of that game, but I had some decent success playing Hunt Showdown for a couple of years, and then to be honest, there was burnout involved and some real life stuff that kind of made me make the jump over to YouTube. And so I decided to start reviewing the old boomer shooter genre, as it's kind of known today, which is basically, old school FPS games like, Quake, and then, of course, the games that are made to mimic games like Quake.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Hunt Showdown, that was a game that it was Crytek, right? That was like their first game. They went on like their own, right?
Yeah. So Hunt Showdown's like it's an extraction shooter. It's actually one of the first extraction shooters. It came out before Escape from Tarkov, but it's set in more. It's not the Wild West. It's technically in the swamps of Louisiana, but it's... Sorry.
No worries. Background noise always
Sorry,
happens.
that was my child. He came busting into my office. Anyways, so it's like Wild West weapons, basically, for lack of a better term. And it's very skill-based. Headshots are a one-tap. It's a very quick time to kill. It's a pretty fun game. But when you're streaming that, every single day for a couple of years, for me personally, I just got a little bit burned out with it. Was ready to move on to something else.
Yeah, that happens definitely. So how did you end up getting in the Quake scene and everything?
Well, so Quake was like one of the very first video games I ever played. I'm 38, so when I was a young lad, my uncle, who actually still plays Quake as well, you've probably run into him, his name's McChief. So my uncle introduced me to Doom and Quake at a young age, and I just kept playing the game because, it was like, I was 13, and that was like the only video game I really knew about was Quake. So I just kept playing Quake, and I've checked in on it over the years, and once the remastered came out, I kind of was like, found the community and kind of been sticking with it ever since.
Nice, yeah. It's kind of funny because, I think it was like about a month before the remastered came out and stuff. I didn't even know it got remastered. I just saw
Yeah, me neither.
I think it was like after like the first update that came out in the game or something like that. And it was just like, because I was thinking about that was right around the time that the big update for Arcade Dimensions came out and stuff like that. I think it was around that. And I was like, oh yeah, I was thinking about giving another try and stuff like that. And then I was installing Quake, and then I saw an update came out, and I was like, oh shit, after all these years, a Quake update actually comes out. And then I read about it, and it was like, oh, it's actually a full-blown remaster that just came out and everything, and I thought that was really cool. And then I just started playing it there, and the new campaign and everything, the Dimension of the Machine has got some pretty unique design to it and everything.
That's actually very similar to what happened to me. Is we always keep games at the office installed because we have some downtime or lunch breaks. We all hop on and play some games. So we had Quake on our computers, and all of a sudden one day we're like, "Oh my God, Quake's getting an update! What the heck's going on?" And the rest is history.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And then I did a whole playthrough of the whole the campaign and everything, all of them. And then I was like, right after I was done with the campaign, I was just like, I was thinking about multiplayer because I don't know if you know this about me, but I've never done Quake multiplayer before. And then I was like, I was like, yeah, I think I'll go ahead and give it a try here. He's, you know, like I played Quake for a long time, never played it online or anything like that. And then so I loaded up multiplayer, went into his server, and I was just rocking it and stuff. And then I just kept playing over and over, and eventually I met, like, you know, all the QE boys and everything, and joined the Discord and stuff like that. But yeah, it's pretty amazing how, you know, just like something you're so unsure of for so many years, and that you just decide, I'm just gonna go ahead and play it now and see how it goes, and look where I am now.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's always how it goes. Is sometimes you just hop into a random game and you start playing it and you just fall in love. And I actually recently just played the Dimension of the Machine campaign myself. I probably haven't touched the Quake single player for literally a decade, and then I decided to play through that for fun, and yeah, it's pretty good. They did a pretty good job with it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool what they can do with the Quake engine these days. So I mean, I guess technically, I don't know how much the Kex engine part helps with it though, but you know, it's still all made in like Quake C and stuff like that, even if it's like kind of their own version of it. But it's mostly the same thing, just with like a few night dive adjustments to it or something like that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's really cool there. I would have never thought that it could make something like, you know, Dimension Machines on such an old engine there, but they proved us wrong, I guess. Definitely.
Yeah, well, I think that you know, with the computers, that's the main thing I noticed with the new campaigns, is just computers have come so far, obviously, in technology since original Quake. There's so much more fidelity with the levels, so you can really have a lot more to those levels, which is pretty cool. And I think that, I don't know, I imagine playing those games, I think like this is what Quake would look like if it was, you know, had come out today or something like that. It's like, I think they did a pretty good job with it.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It still holds up even today. I mean, like, you know, you see Quake World going a lot and like that. What would you say is your favorite, like, out of all the Quake games? Which one's your favorite?
Probably Quake 3 Arena, if I had to choose. My personal, you know, gaming history, so to speak, is very, very deeply rooted in Quake 1, and then I played so much Quake 1 that I never even played Quake 2. And I skipped right over Quake 2 and then went to Quake 3 when it came out. And once that came out, that pretty much dominated my gaming life for probably the next, I don't know, 10 years or something. And I played Quake 3 pretty exclusively, and then my clan that I was in migrated to enemy territory Quake Wars. And then we ended up getting pretty dang good at that, and I wasn't paid to play video games, but that was like technically my very first taste of being a semi-professional to professional gamer, I guess. And then once I went from Quake Wars to Call of Duty 4, and then that's when I started actually traveling around the country, going to various LAN tournaments with my team, and played some semi-professional video games that way. But it's all because of Quake. If it wasn't for Quake, I never would have gotten into any of that.
I mean, if you take a think about it, the original Call of Duties were made on the Quake engine.
Yeah, I think the first couple were for sure.
Yeah, definitely, and then they kind of went their own route after that. But it's pretty cool. You know, there's a lot of games that I think took either they took the engine itself, or they just took a lot of inspiration from Quake and decided, you know, to make it their own, and you know, just show us like what ID Tech 2 is capable of doing. Yeah, it's really cool. So I mean, even like you know, like Valve's Gold Source engine, and even like parts of Source 1, I've heard developers say that's all built from like, you know, Quake engine, stuff like that. It's just it's really awesome.
Oh yeah, it literally changed the landscape of, you know, Doom and then Quake. Both those games changed the landscape of video game history forever. And I think you could probably trace back almost every FPS, you know, in the world is, you know, influenced by them in some way, whether it's technologically or gameplay wise or.
Definitely. Yeah, and you know, like I feel like kind of recently we've been seeing a lot of like like Quake-inspired games. I mean, like we have Dusk and Medieval, or some pretty recent ones that came out not that long ago. Obviously, very Quake-inspired in those games there, and it's really cool that a lot of developers just want to keep this this genre and stuff alive, and just give everybody that memory of like what Quake offered at the time, and kind of make their own modern approach to it. Yeah, it's definitely really.
Sorry, not trying to talk over you, but I just real quick, I think that that's the reason why I started my YouTube channel the way that I have, is because I think there's a simplicity in games like that, and with a lot of modern shooters today, you have so many like battle passes and unlocks and all this stuff. There's a simplicity and just good solid shooter mechanics and a basic gameplay that straightforward and just fun, and that's why I think we've been seeing such a resurgence in a lot of those styles of games, honestly.
Oh yeah, definitely. There was when I played Dusk World recently, and I'm being very honest with it. It's a little disappointing. Not because like it's bad, like the game mechanics are there and everything, but the problem is the developers gave up on it so soon, and it's definitely one of those games where it's like you wish they would have just kept going on it, because it would have been great. It would have been like pretty much like your modern style of like what Quake 1 would have been, stuff like that. But it's just like they gave up on it so early, so it's like obviously nobody plays it now, and it's just like I was playing it with, I think it was like Bacteria at the time, and I was pinging like 200 there and everything like that. It was awful and stuff, and but it had a lot of potential behind it. Just the developers just, I guess, wanted to keep it like a single player only style game, and just completely forget about the multiplayer stuff.
Yeah, well, I think multiplayer from a development perspective, it's basically like adding a whole nother video game on top of your game you're already developing. So it's a lot of work. And games like, the boomer shooter, retro shooter, whatever you're going to call it, the genre, unfortunately, for whatever reason, it doesn't really hold players' attention spans nearly enough. You got to be pretty dedicated, in my opinion, to be a consistent player in these games. I think the skill ceiling's pretty high, and it's got a tough barrier to entry. And, so I'm just reading into things. I don't know, but, it's possible that a game like that, comes out, doesn't take a lot of traction, and they're probably, unfortunately, not going to put a lot of effort and time into something like that unless it really takes off, which is kind of hard in this day and age with these kind of games from what I've seen personally.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's even crazy to think about too that we obviously know Quake as being like the grandfather of like arena FPS and stuff like that, but it might come to shock to people that Quake was not originally a first-person shooter. It was meant to be, or I'm sorry, it was not originally meant to be an arena shooter. It was meant to be an RPG, actually. And that's and I always thought that's like, what would Quake be like if it was an RPG game? Because it's like it's so crazy to just think about like the game that we know how it is today, that it could have been something else.
Right. And I think Daikatana is a good example of what Quake might have been. Luckily for us, I don't know if you've played Daikatana. I think there was a lot more effort put into the development of Quake, but Quake was originally going to be based off a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. I believe Quake was the name of John Carmack's character, or at least a character from their campaign. But, if you've played Daikatana, which I actually did recently because I've never played it, and it's notoriously bad. Like, it goes down in history as maybe one of the worst FPS games of all time. It's not because of the RPG elements that it's so bad. It's other stuff. But there are RPG elements in that game, which I find really funny and interesting.
Definitely. We got a question from Chad here. Is that the SaltyOctopus I hear? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
hello,
it is.
Chad.
The same one from the game review channels. Definitely. But yeah, it's like if you play Quake, you know, like, I mean, like, I think if anybody plays Quake, but like you can definitely still see that there's like bits of like RPG that they left in the game. Not like not like the gameplay mechanics, but like you can tell like just going by some of the missions and like even like the whole like hub area kind of feels like it was very RPG inspired. So it's there are bits and pieces where they just decided, I think they just leave the RPG bits in there and but like, you know, change up the whole entire game and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, basically what happened was Quake was going to just be a tech demo of the technology, and all the levels that you play throughout the campaign, all the monsters, everything was just kind of created for that tech demo to test everything. And it was kind of like they were getting close to needing to release the game, and they're kind of like, okay, what are we doing with this thing? And they all just decided to basically just connect all these levels into a game. And that's why you have, you know, some sci-fi maps, some, you know, obviously gothic maps, you know, some, you know, RPG-ish monsters with not a lot of cohesion between everything. The way they put that cohesion together is by explaining it with a slipgate. But basically, Quake just didn't have a story, and it was never developed to have a story. In fact, there's a famous quote by John Carmack where he basically said that having a story in a shooter game is like having a plotline in a porno. Like, it's supposed to be there, but nobody cares. And that was kind of their development approach to Quake. And so you're right, and it does seem very RPG-ish, almost like there's lingering things, and I think it's because they just didn't have a vision for the game, and then it all just kind of came together at the end. But really, I think it's we owe Quake's success to the multiplayer, in my opinion. You know, I don't think that Quake would have. I mean, I think it always would have been popular because it was like the first ever like fully 3D game, but the multiplayer is what really set Quake apart from the other stuff out there, in my opinion.
Oh no, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, without the multiplayer, I think Quake probably would have. Well, I mean, I guess it probably still would have been a pretty big game because it's really the, you know, like a lot of what we saw with other games just kind of took what it had to offer in like an engine-wise stuff. But yeah, no, it's definitely the multiplayer that kept Quake alive all these years. Yeah, although the modding community has been pretty strong too. So
yeah, absolutely,
definitely been a lot of mods like Arcade Dimensions is definitely a really big one. And then the Copper mod, what's that one called? The Copper mod, you know, the one that kind of inspired the I can't think of the name though.
I've heard of it, but I know what you're talking about, but I've never played it myself. I actually haven't played a lot of Quake mods, to be honest. It's something that I intend to start doing more of, is I want to explore a lot more Quake mods.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, even in the remaster, you know, there's the whole add-on page stuff, and there's some mods in there too. You can totally check out there. I'm not sure if you need a Bethesda account or not, but yeah, there's definitely some mods in there you can check out. All right, I have a serious question for you. If you had to choose a way for you to die, like in real life, like a Quake style way for you to die in real life, would you rather take a rocket to the face, or would you rather get telefragged?
You know, I gotta be honest with you, I think both of them would probably be so fast that it wouldn't really matter, but I guess there's a chance you survive a rocket with some splash damage and then you're hurt for a minute before you keel over. So I think I'd rather take the teleporter way out. Be a lot quicker and just instant.
I see. You mean like just instead of like suffering through the rocket, you just would rather.
Yeah, like there's a chance that you feel a rocket for a second, you know, or maybe you gotta get hit by 2 rockets before you go down, so you feel the first one and then you're limping around until the second one takes you out. So I think the teleporter's just instant, man.
I gotta say, man, I don't think I've ever heard somebody say they survived a rocket to the face.
Well, you know, like right now, I'm shooting this dude and he just survived 3 rockets. So I mean, you know, there's a chance in Quake style.
True, yeah. If we were going with the same health and armor, sure.
But in real life, yeah, it would be. I mean, I think either would be all right, but I still would take the teleporter.
Yeah, definitely. You know, a lot of people, you know, they kind of shit on Quake 2 and Quake 4 because it's so much different from the first Quake. But you know, I've always liked those games, and it could be maybe because, like, you know, those are just games like I've always grown up with and stuff, and obviously Quake 4 I think was probably the biggest like change, and because, you know, that one kind of felt, if I'd be honest with you, that kind of felt like like what you know, like what we're seeing in like Call of Duty and stuff like that. That's kind of what Quake 4 felt like in some ways. I mean, like, obviously, you know, there's like Call of Duty's kind of just turned into like one of those, like, you're relying so much on, like, you know, health regeneration and stuff like that. Although
right.
I can't say that for the multiplayers. I never played Call of Duty Online, but yeah, you know, like, I very much like Quake 4, and you know, I'm always like, it's okay to have your opinions on it, but don't, you know, like, it's still Quake and stuff like that. So you know, it's how they wanted the game to be. Although that one was technically, I guess, was it Raven Software that made that one?
Raven made Quake 4.
Quake 4,
and
right.
yeah, and, you know, it made Quake 2, but I think you know, there's an explanation of why they named Quake 2 Quake 2, and I don't remember what that is. I think it has to do with something that, like, Quake was just so well known that even though they wanted to go with a different universe, they kind of just said, whatever, we'll just make it Quake 2, you know? People will still play it, and that's... but I'm sure there's a better explanation than that. But, you know, I think, you know, in hindsight, right, like, it would make more sense for them to be in separate universes or separate IPs or whatever. Quake 3 kind of was a combination of both of them with their characters. You know, you can play the Doom Marine, you can play Quake, you can play the Ranger, you can play the Grunt from Quake 2. But Quake 4, in my opinion, that to me just felt like a completely different world altogether. It was a good game, but it's kind of like you said, it was kind of like a Call of Duty. It was like Doom 3 combined with Call of Duty. That's what it felt like to me. It didn't really feel like Quake, so, but it was still a good game, and it was made by Raven, so it's just, you know, they're just different.
Definitely. We got another question from chat here from Steph. Would you rather kiss an orc or dry hump a vor?
Wow, that's disturbing. So, I would probably kiss an orc because the Vors actually terrified me as a kid. Like, I was legitimately afraid of them. So I think I just got to stand by my inner child there and be scared of the Vors. I wouldn't want to touch those things.
Yeah, Vors are what's the ones that move around really fast? What are those called? The ones that, like, bounce around and stuff.
Oh, those are the fiends.
The fiends? Is that what? No, the blue ones, not the ones with the.
Oh, the slime, the blue slime things.
Yeah,
I don't remember their name, to be honest with you.
Spawns.
But
Spawns, is that it?
Spawns.
Yeah,
yes,
that's it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think I read.
They explode.
Yeah. Well, if they die, yeah, they explode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I read like how it was so hard for them to make that unit because just like what the idea they wanted or something like that. Because it's definitely one of those enemies that's so, like, different from the others, because the others are more like they're more like beastie and stuff like that, and this one's just kind of like a blob style thing, stuff like that. So it's pretty crazy on, you know, like how they went with that unit and be like, yeah, this is a good unit and stuff like that. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I've always I don't think anybody likes spawns, to be honest.
I've always thought that the monster designs in Quake were really good, and it's actually one of my biggest critiques of current boomer shooter games like a Medieval and Dusk. You know, playing through some of these games. I'm playing through one right now called Hrot, H-R-O-T, and the monster designs are really I don't know. They just don't feel. They all feel too boring. Like there's so much more they could do. Like with the spawns, how they bounce around, or the fiends, how they, fly at you, and it feels like most games today just have monsters that charge you or monsters that shoot at you. And I guess that's just my one big overall critique on some of these more modern shooters trying to emulate the old school is they need to be a little bit more creative with their creature designs, in my opinion, their enemy types.
Oh yeah, definitely. Most people don't know this, and every time I tell somebody this, they're always like, "Oh, I had no idea." But the Shamblers, right? The ones that shoot like the lightning and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you know they have 50% reduction to explosives?
I did not know that. I knew that they were more susceptible to dying to the nail guns, so that would make sense as to why.
But, like, logically, how does that make sense? Because they're just... It's not like they're wearing armor, and it's like...
they're all their blubber. They're just so thick, dude. They're
all
just
that thick hair, man, that's...
Yeah,
just...
like the nails penetrate the blubber, but the rockets don't.
Yeah, and that always interests me because, like, you look at, like, the swordsmen, then they're wearing, like, the metal suits and stuff like that. You would think, like, all the other, like, how cool it would be kind of, like, if all the other enemies had, like, their own reduction. Like, I always thought, like, if the swordsmen would be, like, immune to, like, projectile-based weapons or just, like, the nail gun in general because they're wearing the armor suits, right? Like, logically that would make sense. Stuff like that, and that's another thing that makes me think like they left over some of the RPG elements in here because it's like like the Shambler is the only units that has like any kind of like a damage reduction system on it, while every other unit it's just your same old shoot it until it's dead type unit.
Well, I think we're speculating now, obviously, but I think that there's maybe some truth to that. You just never know with the way that it wanted to go about Quake, maybe originally with some of the RPG elements. Maybe some of that was planned out. I know that there was a lot they wanted to do with the game, but they just straight up ran out of time. I mean, from what I've read and done some research on, just for my own channel and videos that I've made, sounds like the development of Quake was an incredibly stressful experience. And American McGee, for example, who's a legendary map maker, he just straight up like disappeared. Like one day he just disappeared. They couldn't figure out where he went, and it was just they had to pick up his slack and finish his shit. And so yeah, it's so they just ran out of time. So all that stuff, it's very possible that they wanted to do all that stuff, but they just didn't have the time to do all that stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think I read that same thing too about Quake development. Let's talk about the idea of telefragging, though.
Okay.
If you think you got telefragged in real life, do you think you would just merge with the person, or do you think you would explode like you would in Quake?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a lot like. Have you watched The Boys on Amazon?
I have not. No.
Okay. Well, there's this one particular scene where somebody crawls inside another guy, and then he was tiny, and then he becomes untiny, and it's just an explosion of gibs and body parts. I think it'd be like that.
That's interesting. I always thought because if you think of like what teleporting does, it's kind of like taking you apart and putting you back together. I just don't like what's the scientific logic, like how that would just make you explode. I would think you would just kind of merge your like atoms and DNA and stuff with the other person, kind of make you look like a deformed mutant or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that could be a good explanation. Yeah. Now you got me thinking about it. Never thought I would, but
it is it is an interesting game mechanic because that's how you kill the end boss in the game too. Is like you have to telefrag him because you can shoot the boss and shoot it won't die. You actually have to telefrag it.
Yeah, and it's funny because we were talking about game design in Quake and development cycle and all that, and then how stressful it was, and they basically gave up by the time they were at the boss. They had to release the game, and they had to put the final boss fight in, and they were just like, what do we do? And they just went with like one of the most easiest like to develop things ever, and it was probably because a combination of them all being so stressed out and also running out of time. They did the same thing with Doom 2 and the Icon of Sin. There's a reason why that boss is like so boring. You know, I don't know if you know that one where you like go on the elevator and you just shoot a rocket at the guy's forehead, and it's a weak point. All of that has to do with id Software basically running out of time to release a game on time.
Yeah, Icon of Sin, jeez. You know, I think what was more disappointing about Doom was the fact, you know, they released those two, like, the final Doom missions, like Plutonian, TNT, and stuff like that. And it's literally just the same bosses that you've already fought, you know, 2 times over again, just repeating. And it's like, I think, like, if I would say anything is disappointing about Doom, it would be those 2 expansions. I mean, they're still good in their own way, but it's like, you know, it's like you just want more, right?
Yeah, I think that, you know, in my opinion, like, boss fights in these games are just notoriously bad. They're just not... I don't know why. It's just boss fights in this type of game just... They're never good. I don't know. I can't... Like, the Cyber Demon in Doom is, like, one of the only bosses that, like, I legitimately thought was really cool. And it was a cool fight, but so many of these other boss fights in these games disappoint me. And that includes, like, you know, the boss fights in Dusk, and then ones in a Medieval were okay. I enjoyed some of those boss fights.
Yeah, because they all have kind of like the same logic, like just shoot it until it's dead, right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And the boss fights, I don't know if you played some of the newer Doom games, like Doom 2016 and then Doom Eternal, but those boss fights were pretty good. I felt like those boss fights did a pretty good job of ushering in like what a quick twitch FPS boss fight should be.
Yeah, I am pretty amazed how well they did with the new Dooms and stuff like that, especially not having like Carmack and Ramiro with them and stuff like that, and it's just you know, they completely blew everyone's minds with that and stuff like that. It does kind of make you wonder, you know, like now that they're kind of done with Doom, are they gonna come to Quake now and do something? I mean, because I mean, like, you think this remastered came out kind of out of nowhere. Do you think that's like the start of, you know, them kind of hinting like, hey, we have something big coming for Quake or something like that?
I mean, I would like to think so. I think all of us as Quake fans would love to see, you know, Quake 5. You know, we had Quake Champions, which was, you know, a modernized Quake 3 arena, and I don't think that game has done particularly well, except for, you know, it keeps a player base, but it's pretty small, probably compared to what they would want for a game like that. So I think, though, they've proven that gamers would be down for something like that with the Doom games. And I think if they remade Quake in a way that was similar to that, but still stayed true to Quake and not Doom, it could be something pretty successful. And you'd have to make kind of like a hybrid, you know, fast-paced shooter, but have some like horror elements too in it, in my opinion, because I think Quake was originally, they really wanted to be spooky, but you know, with engine limitations and stuff, it just wasn't quite there.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's funny because you play Quake for so long, you kind of forget that it's even a horror game, because it just you know, it's such a good arena game that you just kind of ignore the horror elements that it did offer. But you are right, yes, it is a horror game, and it does definitely play like a horror game and stuff like that. It's very it's very HP Lovecraftian inspired too.
Yeah. It'd be cool if they would, you know, like make a more modern Quake and embrace that a little bit more and just go all out with it. I think it could make something really cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would definitely agree. Even like, was it Zonic? Was that the one that was made on Dark Places and stuff like that?
Yeah, Zionic.
Zionic, yeah, that's it.
That's a Dark Places game. I've actually been playing that a lot. That's kind of been my personal main game I've been playing lately when I need my multiplayer fix. It's great. But yeah, it was Dark Places.
Yeah, Dark Places is pretty good. I like what they did with the lighting in that game. I know some people, like that's kind of been like a mixed opinion about that kind of stuff, but I do like what they did with the lighting in that game and stuff, kind of making everything look very modern approach and stuff like that. Somebody recently said that I should try Reflex Arena, which I heard is very Quake style game and stuff like that. And I looked up a video of a 1v1 video, and it does look pretty. It does look pretty good, actually. I won't lie. Basically, your characters are like robots rather than actual people. But yeah, pretty much everything.
I played it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And there's like a lot of maps from Quake that have been ported over there and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, all of these. Have you played Quake 3?
I have not. No.
Okay, so all these games like Quake, Zionic, Reflex Arena, Diabolical was the one that came out on Epic. All those games are basically remakes of Quake 3 Arena in one way or another. I'd probably relate them to that more than any other game. And they basically they do exactly that. They all port in the classic maps. It's kind of like Counter-Strike. You have the Dust maps, right? They've been ported into every single version of Counter-Strike. There's a lot of that going on in these Quake 3 clones. They all just port those same maps in over and over and over. It's kind of funny because you might be playing a completely different game, and then you launch into a map and you go, "Oh, I know exactly what's going on with this."
Definitely, yeah. So you're like a moderator on the QE Discord, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and Dan is obviously the one that owns it. So how did you go from just being like an average player of Quake to meeting Dan and becoming a moderator on the Discord?
Oh, it's kind of a funny story. Yeah, I was when Quake Remastered came out. I saw a lot of the same faces around, and Dan told me about the Discord just like he has with almost everybody who's in there. We've all been word of mouth joining the Discord, and so I hopped in and I got a bunch of games with Dan. And for a while there, my office, we were running our own servers for a while at our lunch breaks and stuff, because I don't know why we stopped, to be honest with you. Like we liked having zero ping, so we'd all just fire up a server, and we get a lot of like Sub Effect. Dan came in, El Nat Railer, if that's how he says his name. I hope I said that right. A bunch of these guys would come in and fight us, and Dan hung out a lot, and so I think we just kind of got to know each other just by playing the game. But how I became a mod is actually kind of silly. I basically was... Sorry, Dan. I hated how his Discord was so unorganized. It was driving me fucking crazy. And, I'm a bit of a, stickler about that kind of stuff. I have my streamer Discord, at one point, it had over 500 people in it. And, I was very, very anal retentive about how I kept it organized. So I just DM'd him, and I was like, can I organize your Discord for you? And he and Bacteria talked about it, and they were just like, yeah, let's do it. And so I organized his Discord. They obviously appreciated the work I put into it, and I didn't expect to stay a moderator. And I even told him at the end of it, I was like, I don't need to stay a mod. But they were cool with it, and they just kept me as a mod. I've just been a mod now because of that. So it's kind of, like I said, it's a funny story how that happened.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, you were once called Tropical Treats. Is that just like an alt name, or is there like some history behind it?
No, it was an inside joke.
Oh, inside joke, yeah.
Yeah, so our office culture is like a frat house. It's my uncle and I work together, and then I don't know if you've seen our other coworker. His name's Derg. He used to play a little bit with us, and then his brother, who I know you're acquainted with, Overlordin. He called you a cheater and said some other not nice gamer words to you. Yeah, so tropical pineapple is the name of a grenade. in Quake. When you kill somebody with a pineapple, it says you ate their pineapple. And so I started saying silly things like, you know, taste my tropical treats and, you know, suck on my succulent pineapples. Just stupid stuff like that, you know. And for whatever reason, taste my treats or tropical treats, that one just kind of stuck. So I started like screaming that out at the office when I'd kill people with grenades. And then I just, as a way to troll them, I started naming myself that. And then it just kind of stuck for a while, and I think people in the community started knowing me a little bit as Tropical Treats for a time. But after it kind of, the name wore off, I went back to my default, which I've been SaltyOctopus for, I don't know, a long time now. My daughter actually gave me the name SaltyOctopus when she was an infant. Well, not really an infant, when she could barely talk, and that's kind of the reason why I'm SaltyOctopus. I've always, from another game was called Salty from League of Legends, because, well, I was fucking salty at that game, so people called me Salty. And then I wanted to incorporate Salty into a new online handle when I was going to start streaming. And my favorite creature is an octopus, and my wife made me a plushie octopus when we were dating. And so when when my daughter was sitting with me, I was just like joking with her, like, what should daddy's online name be? And, you know, she's probably like 2.5 or 3, could barely talk, and she points at my octopus and she goes, octopus. And so I put Salty and Octopus together, and the rest is history with that.
Yeah, like, you know, I'm known as, you know, Squid and Troll Octopus, but it's kind of funny because, okay, so like I got my own computer way back in like I think like 2006 or something like that, and that's kind of when my dad, you know, created my own Steam account rather than relying on his. I was originally called Rock and Roll Kid, and that was the name he gave me, and I kept the name for years until I want to say like 2012, 13, somewhere around there. I used to run a Left 4 Dead 2 server, and there was this guy, I think his name was like Munchie or something like that. I didn't know him too well, but a girlfriend at the time I was dating, she knew him as like a friend. Anyways, he started calling me Rock and Roll Squid.
Okay.
I don't know why. He started calling me that though. And it kind of turned into like this kind of like an inside joke meme kind of thing. Not exactly, but similar to it, you know. And then my ex-girlfriend at the time changed my name to Rock and Roll Squid. I was a little salty about it at first because I really liked the Rock and Roll Kid, but I just left it and I figured I'd give it a try. And then people just started calling me Squid. And I just went with Squid ever since then. And plus, the kid thing was getting a little like, because obviously I'm not a kid anymore, so I kind of wanted to change that anyways.
Sure.
And then like my name right now is actually a collab of names that people have called me throughout the years, like Troll and Squid and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, it's pretty yeah, I feel like a lot of people who have like unique names outside of just like, you know, like a basic like, you know, like Chris or Fred or something like that. I feel like a lot of them they didn't come up with the names, like somebody just started calling them that or something like that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like, and at the time, obviously, I didn't want to use my real name because at the time I was like, I don't know what weirdos are out there or something.
Oh,
like that.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this, you know, like, obviously I don't really care right now, but like, yeah, back then, like, stuff like that was really stuff that I watched out for.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me when people get their online handles, especially when they're really unique. So, there's always usually a pretty good story behind it.
Definitely. Yeah, I recently got my, I don't know if you saw my channel, but I recently got my fiance to play Quake. And I've been very proud of her. I'm so proud of her. She's actually watching the live stream right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, is she going to stick with it, or is it just like a one-time thing?
You know what? If she can become good as me, I'll be so proud of her that I'd say I put a ring on that, but she already has a ring on it.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but that is the thing with games these days. There's such like, and I don't want to make this like a sexist thing, but there's such like a lack of female gamers, you know. And it's like, you know, I do try to find ways like how can I get like more female gamers involved in this kind of stuff here. Again, I'm not trying to make that like a sexist thing or something like that.
No,
it's
okay.
just like, but I mean, like obviously you play a lot of games. It's like 90% of the time you can just expect that it's a guy and stuff like that. So it would be really cool to see like, I don't know if like somebody started like a thing to get more female gamers involved in games or something like that.
I think it just depends on the game. I think games like this, you know, are just, I don't know, for whatever reason, you know, girls don't care for them quite as much. My wife is a gamer. She loves the hell out of Valheim, so we've been playing that one together a lot on weekends.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. So like obviously id Software made you know, Quake and Doom and stuff like that. It's so crazy too, because it's like you look at a game like Doom 3, right? It's so far from the original Dooms, and it's crazy. And like I did hear the story of like I don't know if have you ever read about like what originally Doom 2016 was supposed to be. They almost made it like a Call of Doom, right?
Yeah, I've heard about that, and they, you know, good for them. They looked at it and go, "What are we making?" And they canceled it. But
yeah, I'm so glad that, you know, like somebody was over there and be like, "Dude, what are you doing?"
Yeah,
that's crazy. Definitely.
By the way, I don't know if you want to switch it up, but there's a bunch of people playing on Denver now. CRX.
Yeah, we can go there for the last like 15 whatever minutes here.
Sure.
I'll be in QE client, obviously.
Yep, I am too.
Because I'm just getting wrecked on this server.
Yeah. Well, it's honestly hard to
what I'm learning
have a good
is
conversation and play.
It's exactly what I'm learning. I can't talk and play at the same time. It's probably why I do so bad on Team Deathmatch.
Everything's like bugged out. How do I join? Press to join blue.
I forgot what is it? Denver.com.
It's denver.crxquake.com.
Oh, CRX they're on. Okay.
But I can't join, and I don't know why.
Oh, I joined. Are you on QE? Although everyone looks like dots to me.
Yeah, everybody looks like dots to me, and I can't figure out how to join a team.
You gotta let's see. I think you have to. Yeah, you have to disconnect. Because when you do connect on a server, it's so weird in QE, and like QE, like if you connect to like a dedicated server while you're on a PlayFab server, you're still connected to the PlayFab server. It's really weird.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have to like actually leave, like disconnect and join the dedicated. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's a weird.
How do I join a team?
I think you just hit like 1 or 2 for dedicateds.
Okay, I joined the blue team.
Okay. Oh wait, I can't even join red. Okay. Well, oh no, I am red. Okay, never mind. All right. What's your favorite game mode in Quake?
I just like straight up deathmatch. I'm a big fan of vanilla. When I was younger, I played a mod called IHOC, which stood for the International House of Cheese. And that mod was amazing. You had a jetpack. It was rockets only with a jetpack and a grapple hook, and it was super fast paced. If I had to choose, that was my favorite probably ever. But that's like a very niche mod. But after that, I just like straight up deathmatch. I do think Clan Arena's pretty cool, but I haven't played a ton of Clan Arena, and I don't really care for Capture the Flag and Quake, but I do like Capture the Flag in other games.
Yeah, you know, I come from Team Fortress Classic, and obviously Capture the Flag it's pretty big in that game, and it's probably like the #1 game mode you'll expect in that game. Team Fortress Classic is basically Valve's intake of Team Fortress from Quake, stuff like that. But for some reason I just can't really get into Quake CTF, and I don't know why. It's probably because when I play CTF and TFC, it's so much more slower pace, and then I come in here, it's really fast paced. I don't know if that's it, or maybe it's just like I'm just so used to how it is in TFC that I just can't get into it in Quake or something like that. Yeah, but yeah, I would say mine is definitely free for all. Definitely.
Yeah, I think so. I think I like the rockets. I like rockets. I really, really like Instagib. I'm a huge Instagib fan. I play mostly nothing but Instagib when I play Xonotic lately. Oh, somebody just discharged in the water.
Oh my gosh. I think it was like a year ago or something. It was me, Captain Mutron, and a few other players on a pub server. We were playing DM3 too, like this map right here. The whole entire time we were just discharging. The whole entire time in the water and stuff like that. It was hilarious. But it's like that's another interesting game mechanic I would say is discharging in the water and stuff like that. That one logically makes sense, right? Because obviously, if you're gonna shoot like electricity in water, you're obviously gonna die from that.
Yeah, no, I actually think that's a pretty good mechanic. It's annoying as all heck when it happens, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, definitely. What's your favorite weapon in Quake?
Oh, you gotta go with the rocket launcher, in my opinion. I think it's the best. But honestly, like I'm a huge super shotgun fan. But the original Quake Super Shotgun, like not the one on this server, like CRX, but the original is so weak. Like it just feels so not viable. But yeah, if the Super Shotgun was better, it'd probably be my favorite. But it's not, so I like the rocket launcher.
Oh yeah, definitely. Someone showed me. It was like this. It's the Quake symbol, the Q unique Quake symbol that there's. Someone showed me. It was a. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like something you hang above your bedpost, and you hang it right above your bed, and it's this cool thing there, and I really want to get one of those now.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's just something you hang on your wall, and it looks really cool, and. I think it was Woods that showed me that, I want to say, but I'm not like 100% sure on that. But yeah, it's really cool. I saw them on Amazon and stuff. I wonder if they got something like that for Doom too. That would be really cool.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, or you could probably find something like that on that Etsy website where they always people are always selling their homemade stuff. I just got axe murdered.
I just rocketed myself.
Oh my god! Twice in a row.
I keep forgetting I'm on red team here.
Yeah,
I don't play team deathmatch that much, to be honest. I know I participated in those tournaments back then, but like those were just kind of like I just wanted to see how well I would do in team deathmatch. But to be honest, like team deathmatch is probably like the least game mode I play. I don't know, like, weapons stay off and stuff like that. I just, like, I can't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot more, like, coordination with this, and, like, a lot of people have keybinds, like, saying where to go and what stuff's spawning and stuff, and... Yeah, I honestly didn't know they were playing Team Deathmatch when I suggested we come here.
No, that's alright. That's alright. Who do you think, who's your favorite Quake player? Like, on a professional level?
Are you talking about just, like, Quake in general, like Quake 1, or just, like, the genre of Quake?
Let's do Quake 1 in general.
I just think that I would probably have to say Thresh, just because of what he did for the game. I mean, not only was he a god, at the game at the time, but also just like he put esports on the map, and if it wasn't for Thresh, we probably wouldn't have the type of. I mean, I'm sure we would have professional esports, but who knows? They maybe wouldn't have come along as quickly as they did. But you know, it's actually kind of funny. In Quake 3, I actually my claim to fame is I actually dueled Fatality once, and it was it was just a random thing. I was in a server, he was in a server, and we fought. It wasn't set up. It's not like I knew the guy or anything. He absolutely slaughtered me, but I did take a couple of kills off of him, so that was pretty cool. So, but I did actually watch a lot of Fatality back in the day too, and I think those might be pretty basic answers because those guys are probably two of the most famous Quake players, but they were also the players that I watched. So.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I would say the only big players I've really watched is probably like Milton. He's pretty good. Of course, he's more of a. Well, I guess all these guys are kind of Quake World players, but yeah, no, Milton is pretty good. I've seen like not. Well, I mean, like I've seen other Quake World players like you know, Sane and Dusty and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not good like who's all like in the like the big time boys stuff like that. But yeah, there's just like I played with these Quake World boys before, and they are just monsters.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, well, obviously years of practice and stuff like that, but yeah, no, there's just some of these guys are. I think they play a little too much.
Well, I think that's a huge reason why the genre of this type of game is it's hard for players to get into, and it's hard for you know, that's why the arena shooter genre has struggled. I think that you have the older gamers who've done nothing but play these types of games for. There's somebody who's invisible, by the way, on the enemy team, and they're killing me all the time. And it's not because they have the invisibility. I think they're glitched out. I literally can't see them.
I'm on
really
red team.
Irritating.
So. I'm
Anyways.
on red team.
But yeah, you know, there's just such a high barrier to entry with these types of games, and the people who've been playing them like crazy, you know, that makes it very, very challenging for new players. And I think that's why, unless somebody's super dedicated to get good, yeah, I'm gonna disconnect. I've been killed by who was that? Buckshot. Buckshot's invisible to me, and it's not because he has the invisibility.
Do you have CL Predict off?
No. It just literally every time I've run across them, they're invisible. Like maybe it could even be multiple people.
Oh.
And I don't think it's anything they're doing. I just think there's some weird bug going on. Yeah, sure. I just got killed by the Newt, and he's invisible. Yeah. I'm just gonna. I don't know. I'm gonna leave, not because I'm losing or anything, but I can't fight invisible people. That's just too. That's rough.
Problems we have when we play Quake.
That's weird. I mean, I've got it recorded, so I might have to show some people that. That's bizarre.
No, that's... Everyone's asking what client. You're using QE, right?
Yeah, I'm using QE.
Yeah.
I got killed by 2 invisible players in a row, and what was weird is I have it clipped as well. There's like a red player like standing on the outside Mega Health, and they're just standing there. But I was being shot by somebody invisible, but that like model was shooting, but it wasn't moving. I don't know how to explain it. It was very bizarre.
I was using QE. It was running fine for me. Don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to show people some clips.
Great podcast talk, man. No, you're good, man. You're good. Yeah. Geez, that reminds me of the problems I had back. I think it was the second team deathmatch. Well, I had problems even the first one, but the second team deathmatch, I think we had similar problems at that. Like, where some people were reporting players were like disappearing and stuff like that. Although it wasn't on CRX Denver. I think at the time we were using. It might have been MB we were on, Dan's dedicated server, MB. Yeah.
Okay.
They were kind of mentioning stuff like that then, but honestly, I didn't think we had. It's been a long time since we had anybody complain about disappearing players, so that's pretty crazy that happened.
Yeah, I'll put a clip together and send it to
As sad,
Buckshot maybe, because maybe he'll know.
yeah, as sad it is to say, like honestly, nobody who plays on the dedicateds even uses QE anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I just do because it's convenient, you know.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
I like launching my games from Steam, and it's very easy. But I do realize that most people aren't playing Quake on QE client.
Yeah, no, it's because it's like even for me, like QE, there's something about the feel I like about it. I know some people would complain and be like, oh, it feels like crap compared to like like Easy Quake or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But QE's just always had this feel for me that it just feels right to me. And I don't know how to explain it. It could be because like I started with QE playing multiplayer. It could be
right.
that. But yeah, no, it just has this feel. I like it. And like I had this complaint a few days ago on the Discord because like in Easy Quake you can't look all the way down. I don't know if you've ever used Easy Quake, but you can't look all the way down. I have not. Yeah, it's like it's so weird because I'm so used to like like in QE you rocket jump and it's like you can look all the way down and rocket jump. You can't really do that in Easy Quake. You have to kind of like you have to either do like a 180 or you kind of have to do it on an angle, I've heard. And that always bugged the crap out of me with Easy Quake because I've always been so used to just doing it by looking down. You can't do that in there, and it's why I can't rocket jump. I can't rocket jump in Quake World. It always annoys me. Yeah, it's so crazy.
I used to play on different clients like a long time ago, but I don't really worry about it too much anymore. I just stick with the vanilla.
Definitely. All right, we're hitting our 1 hour mark. Thanks for joining me, SaltyOctopus.
Yeah, man.
Definitely, yeah. Go check out SaltyOctopus. He does game reviews on his channel. SaltyOctopus, that's your channel, right?
That is my channel, yep.
Definitely. I'll link it here in the podcast so people can click on it.
Appreciate that, dude.
Got any last things to say?
No, I just appreciate you having me on. It was fun to talk Quake and just hang out. And I know you're going to start trying to do this podcast thing, so best of luck with it. And if you ever want me on again or need help with anything, hit me up. I'm around.
Definitely, yes. This is going to be the start of hopefully what will turn into a podcast series. So I hope all the fans out there enjoyed this content. Definitely, hit me up with comments and suggestions, stuff like that. Whatever you guys want to talk about in the next episode, or whatever guests you guys want to have on here, just let me know. But I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here, guys. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for everybody who watched on the live stream. And Salty, thanks for coming on here. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Have a great day, everybody.
All right. Yeah, thank you.